All right, welcome to the BBH 417 data coding training session. My goal today is to walk you through the process of opening the data files, entering the data from our evaluation questionnaires, saving and renaming these files, and then re-uploading the new data file onto Angel in the Dropbox. In order to complete the data coding sessions for this project, you will need the data forms to be entered. You will pick these up in class, and I will hand them to you, and everyone will get a stack of their own of the questionnaires to code. You will need the data coding dictionary or coding sheet, which is essentially the questionnaire form with the variable names and values written on it. You'll be able to download this from Angel. You'll also need your computer with internet access to be able to download the blank data files and then re-upload the completed data files to the Dropbox. And you'll also need your working copy of SPSS. Okay, the procedure for this then, I'm going to start by going to our Angel homepage, and specifically the Lessons tab. Here we're going to open the folder titled Dataset. It's here at the bottom. And in here we see the number one thing is our dataset. We'll get to that in 1 second. And this is our master data coding sheet. So I'm going to open that. You can use this in a couple of different ways. You can download it and split your screen with it, or as I prefer to do, you can just print it out and have it there right beside you as you're entering the data. It's up to you however you want to do it. I am going to flip back and forth on my computer screen right now as we go through this. So the next thing that we're going to need to do though is go back to our lessons dataset file, and we're going to open this blank master data set. This is an SPSS file. It will download, depending on your computer, it will either open it automatically or it will download it to a specific area where you can go and open it up. Right. So SPSS has finally opened up. So we're going to start by taking a quick look at the variable view. There's two tabs down here at the bottom, variable view and data view. We're going to start looking at the variable view. All right. You'll see that we have in columns here 13 variables. In the grand scheme of things, this is a tiny number of variables compared to what we would normally collect in bigger evaluations, but we have 13 to work with here. You'll see each one of these line up with the questions from the evaluation questionnaire. So we have, for example, condition, date, gender, class. If we look over here, we have up here condition, date, gender, class. So each one of these variable names lines up with the question. That makes sense. So you will also notice here the label has a quick description of that variable. These are really important because these labels that we put on them are what will show up when we complete our output. When we do an analysis and we look in the output, instead of saying some cryptic number or symbol, it will say exactly these things: dining hall, gender, class, standing, my plate, signs helpful, whatever, that help us sort of re-identify what the variable is and what the question is. Next, you will see that most all of these have values assigned. These values, if we look, are what each number means in there. So for example, on condition, number 1 that we would enter equals west, or experimental condition, and number 2 equals north, or control condition. So each one of these, if we look at the labels, it will say, so for this one, this is familiar. The label is familiar with my plate, and the responses are never heard of it, I've heard of it, but don't know much, I know a little, average knowledge, I know more than average, or I'm very familiar with it, with the codes. Again, this is helpful in the output. We'll be able to see, for example, if we do frequencies, how many people are in each category. Now, if we go to the missing column, we'll notice that there's some values in here that don't seem to line up with anything else. Some of these have the variable 777. So this is a code that tells us there was no answer provided on the questionnaire. So the questionnaire was left blank. So whenever you run into a questionnaire that is missing a response, you will simply enter 777. So for example, that is written here on our data coding sheet. It says for any question missing an answer code is 777. So for example, you go here, your questionnaire says class standing at Penn State. They didn't circle anything. They didn't put any response. You would simply, in that column, you would put 777. That tells us that it was missing for a specific reason, which is they left it blank. Now, some of these also have a different code, a 99 code. Okay, so for 99, where you see those, these are questions regarding the intervention that were not asked at baseline and that are never asked over at North Dining Hall, the control hall, where they don't have any of the MyPlate flyers or plates or anything like that. So these few questions are about, for example, signs helpful. These were, did you see MyPlate signs? Did you see these sorts of signs? If you did, were they helpful? Well, we will code 99 as a response on those because we don't expect them to be answered. So those are missing for a different reason. 77s are missing where we should have data, but we don't because they left it blank. 99s are where we shouldn't have data no matter what. So we didn't ask these questions at baseline in either hall, and we never ask them in North. So these questions for North questionnaires will always be noted as 99. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and move over from the variable view to the data view tab. And you'll notice now that the variables are all now columns instead of rows. In this case, each number as it goes here, each questionnaire will be filled in across the row. Each one is a new case or a new questionnaire that we have. So what I'm going to do now is I have a couple of questionnaires here that I'm going to go ahead and enter to give an example. I know a lot of you have done similar things, so I don't mean to be repetitive, but I do want to go through some of ours and just look at it real quick. So the first one that I have here is from West. So if I check my data coding sheet, I see that West in the variable name is condition, West equals 1. So I'm going to just enter a 1 right there. The date of this one is from 01/28/16. All the dates are actual date format, so we won't have any problems putting those in. Gender, this is a male. I'll double check here. It's a male, so I'm going to enter a 2. Oops, not a 3. Class standing. This is a junior on this questionnaire I have here. Junior equals 3. So, like I said, this is easier if you just have the data coding sheet printed out. For right now, I'm just flipping back and forth. Okay, for signs. Now, these are ones that say for North questionnaires and baseline. So this was a baseline questionnaire. This item was not asked. So I'm going to enter here 99. The same is true for did the signs help? Did you see an example plate? Baseline, didn't ask. Was the plate helpful? Didn't ask. How did the plate look, basically? So now we go on to the question that is, go all the way down here. How familiar are you with the MyPlate guidelines? This person said they know average or a little, so that's a 3. Simply add a 3. Now, this one is, the variable name is dairy, because that is the correct answer. We had decided that if they answered anything other than dairy, they get 0 points. This person had circled fruit, so they are getting a 0. The next question is about protein, and we had a debate in class, if you remember, which was really great, about might we give people some partial credit. I think it's fair to say these are proportionally equivalent. It's just the placement. So what we decided to do was, if they said that's a grain or a vegetable or dairy here in Y, they would simply get 0. If they said it was protein, which is correct both in terms of proportion value and in terms of its agreement with the MyPlate posters, they get full credit, or 2 points. If they said fruit, which is correct proportionally but not in the placement, they would get 1. This person happened to say protein on here, so they get the full 2 points. And then finally, the last question is about, according to the USDA MyPlate recommendations, what percentage of your plate should be fruits and vegetables. This person said 33%. This is an area, again, where we had talked about might we give them partial credits for being sort of in the ballpark, and we agreed if they guessed low, between 40 and 49% would give them 1 point. If they guessed a little high, but still within the ballpark, 52 to 60% would give them 1. If they guessed right between 49 and 51%, they got full credit. And then finally, if they guessed far too low, between 0%, 39%, or too high, between 61 and 100%, they would get 0. This person said 33%, so they get 0. Okay, so as an example for another one, I am looking at, this is a West also. This was collected on the 2nd. This was a female, so it's 1. This was a sophomore. Double check that sophomore is 2. Okay, again, so this was West. This was also on Monday when it had started. So there are some responses here in terms of how many signs did you see. This person said 1 sign. Were the signs helpful? Oops, I pressed the wrong one. Were the signs helpful? Pretty helpful. This person said not at all helpful. The next question is about the plate. Did you see a display or example plate? This is an example. This person said nothing. This has no response written anywhere on this. So I am going to put the missing code for that. We expect an answer. It's not there. We'll fill it in. Was the MyPlate helpful? Same thing. She did not fill that out. Did, however, say have an answer about how did it look, which may or may not make sense because she may or may not have seen it. We don't know. But said it looked pretty good, or a 3. So get a 3 there. Said how familiar. Circled a 3. Make sure we're on the right. She got the dairy correct. She got protein correct and guessed 50% on fruits and veggies. So that was also full credit correct. Okay, so we have now entered all of the data, let's say for our questionnaire stack that we have. The next thing that we're going to do is save the file, and this is a real critical piece of this because we're going to rename this file and save it to re-upload to Box. But how it is named has to be really precise because it's going to help us in identifying when the data were collected, or when they were entered rather, and some identifier of who did it. This will help us when we merge because we're going to have tons of these files because everyone will create a file like this. So what we're going to do is when we're done entering all of our data, we're going to say File, Save As. Now I have mine saved in the Downloads file. Just it doesn't matter where you save it as long as you can find it to re-upload. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the file name and insert your cursor after data/2. You're going to get rid of the /2. You're going to put underscore today's date in the specific format of month and day. So it's February 02 underscore, today is the 3rd 03 underscore, and then your initials. I'll put my initials there. So I have added just to the end of this, in between the dot save and the data, underscore 02 February underscore 03 the 3rd underscore initials, and then SAV. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. I had saved this earlier, that's why it said that. So it says this already exists. Do you want to replace it? Yes. You won't have to do that. But you'll see up here it is now titled Create My Plate Master Data 0203 SAB Save. Okay, so that is now saved. I can go to Angel homepage to the completed data sets Dropbox, where I will open that. I'm simply going to title this data set underscore my initials. I'm going to select the file from the downloads. There it is right there. Create My Plate Master Data 23 SAB. I'll choose that to upload. Upload files. Finished. Submit. Okay, so I am all done uploading my data that we can use to merge everything later. Okay, so that completes this portion of the data training. Once you've done all that, of course, if you have any questions at all or any problems, let me know. If you have questionnaires that you're trying to enter where people have written in the margins, or they've circled multiple answers, or it doesn't seem to fit into the coding scheme we have come up with, just bring it to class and we'll discuss that, how to deal with that, how to code it, whether it's valid, and those sorts of issues. Next, before we conclude this training video, I want to remind everyone and run through the process for the data collection and data coding confirmation forms. So I'm going to start this, and this is an important piece, by going to the syllabus. We're going to look under course requirements and expectations, and we're going to go to numbers 4 and 5. As a reminder, I know everyone has looked at this, and at the beginning of the semester it was a little more abstract than it is now. We're going to start reading right here. After completing each data collection session, you will fill out the data collection confirmation form located on Angel, and then upload the completed form to the appropriate Dropbox. These forms are your documentation that you completed the data collection session, but will also document the times of the sessions, any problems we had, those sorts of things. So this is something you should be doing after you have completed each of your 2 data collection sessions. So the way we do that is we're going to go back to our Lessons tab. Okay, we're going to go to Documents and Resources, and the first item is Data Collection Confirmation Form. So I'm going to go ahead and open that. It downloads on Mac, but I'm going to open in Word, and I'm going to fill it out. So this is simply a fillable form for data confirmation. Date of data collection, let's say I went 16th. Now this says session number out of 3. Now we only have 2 because we had the change, but let's say that was my first out of 2. The location, let's say it was west. Hours, say I got there at 4:30 and I left at 8. And then finally you can fill in the summary, things you did, issues or problems, other relevant information. You could just say hand out forms So this would be important to say. I ran out of forms at 7:30. These are the things that we want to document, and we want to be able to go back. If we say, boy, something was really weird over at West on February 1st, let's go back, and everyone who was there will have completed something like this, and we can see not only who was there collecting this, and we could ask them questions, but we could see by their notes what they're doing. So we're going to go ahead and file, save as. Again, best thing to do is just put underscore your initials at the very end. We'll save that. Then we will go back to Angel, to Lessons, and to the Dropbox for data collection confirmation. This, of course, is simply where you will upload that form we just completed. Data collection confirmation form. And finished. Did I upload that file? Forgot to upload it. Or did I? Anyway, so after each data collection session you participate, and after each data confirmation or data coding section you complete, you will do this same procedure. Open the confirmation form, fill it out, and then put it in the Dropbox. This is how we are tracking who is there and what went on those dates. Okay, so there we go. If you have any questions or problems with any of this, whether it's the data coding, the SPSS, the files, the renaming, the uploading, just let me know and we will resolve it. All right, that's it.